Hey everyone, welcome to Beyond the Gates. I'm Alessio, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Beyond the Gates, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. You ever notice how just when life finally feels fun, someone always shows up to ruin it? That's exactly what happened to Dani and Andre. They're in Vegas, laughing, kissing, living like nothing else matters, until Anita storms in wearing this pink dress that turns every head in the casino and drops a line that changes everything. Meanwhile, back home, Vanessa's perfect world is falling apart. She's lying in a hotel bed with Joey when she gets the phone call no one wants to hear. Her husband Doug's life might be in danger. And the worst part? The man lying next to her might be the one behind it. This week in Beyond the Gates, secrets are catching up, loyalties are breaking, and not everyone is making it out alive. Anita interrupts Dani and Andre's fun, Vanessa's terrifying news. I don't even know where to begin, because that week in Fairmont Crest felt like it was written by someone who enjoyed watching people's lives unravel in slow motion. Maybe that's what happens when you put too many secrets, too many lies, and too many fragile hearts in the same place. It doesn't take long before everything comes crashing down. For me, it all started in Las Vegas. Now, you have to understand something about Dani and Andre. Those two weren't supposed to end up together. Not really. Dani Dupree had this way about her. Wild, untamed, always craving the next thrill, even if it burned her alive in the process. And Andre Richardson? He was smooth, calm, always calculated except when it came to Dani. She turned him reckless. Maybe that's why I loved watching them together. It was like fire meeting gasoline. When they decided to run off to Vegas, it wasn't shocking. Dani had been itching for an escape, and Andre wanted to prove he could give her the kind of adventure no one else could. So there they were, tucked away in some overpriced hotel room with neon lights bleeding in through the curtains, kissing and laughing like the rest of the world didn't exist. I remember Dani describing it to me later. She said it felt like the first time she could breathe in weeks. The champagne was still bubbling in her glass. The scent of his cologne clung to her skin, and they couldn't stop giggling, like teenagers, like they weren't weighed down by all the things they'd done, all the people they'd hurt. But here's the thing about Fairmont Crest. You can't ever really run away from it. It follows you. And that's when Anita showed up. I don't know how Anita Dupree does it, but she always knows. Maybe it's a sixth sense, maybe it's just pure stubbornness, but she has a way of turning up exactly where you don't want her to be. That night, she was impossible to miss, striding through the casino in this stunning pink dress, her heels clicking against the marble floor like a warning bell. Heads turned. That's the effect Anita has. And she wasn't smiling. The way Dani told it, Anita walked right up to them. Andre with his arm around Dani's shoulders, Dani trying not to choke on her drink, and dropped her little bomb of a line. We don't ask why, we say bye-bye. No one knew what the hell that meant. Maybe Dani thought Anita was just being dramatic. She usually is, but I could tell from the way Andre described it later, there was venom underneath those words. Anita hadn't flown across the country for a vacation. She was there for them. Now, while that circus was going down in Vegas, something darker was brewing back home with Vanessa McBride. Vanessa had always been the picture of composure. Blonde hair perfectly styled, smile that could charm a room, the kind of woman who made people believe she had it all together. But the truth? She was unraveling. Her marriage to Doug had been a gamble for years. Everyone knew it. He was restless, distracted, always chasing the next big risk, whether it was in business or at the card tables. Vanessa wanted stability, a family, a life where she could feel safe. Doug? He wanted the high of the next deal, the next hand, the next thrill. So when Joey Armstrong came into the picture, Vanessa fell hard. Joey was different, or at least he pretended to be. He had that dangerous charm, the kind that made you forget your good sense. He whisked her away, convinced her she deserved more than Doug could ever give her. And for a moment, she believed him. That's how she ended up in a hotel room with Joey, the two of them tangled in sheets that smelled of cheap perfume and lies. It was there, in that room, that Joey asked her to do something she never expected: take off her wedding ring. It sounds simple, doesn't it? Just a piece of jewelry. But for Vanessa, that ring wasn't just metal, it was years of her life, promises she made, vows she wasn't ready to admit she'd broken. When Joey asked her to slip it off, it wasn't about the gold band. It was about loyalty. It was about choosing him over Doug once and for all. And at that exact same time, Doug was at one of Joey's casinos, rolling dice, fiddling with his own wedding ring like it was mocking him. He leaned toward the man beside him and said, half drunk, "Marriage is a lot like a high-stakes gamble, and the odds are never in your favor." The way I see it, Doug wasn't just talking about his marriage. He was talking about his life. He knew he was losing. But then came a call that changed everything. Jacob Hawthorne, steady and dependable Jacob, was at the police station that night. He picked up the phone, dialed Vanessa, and his voice was urgent. "There's something important I need to talk to you about." Vanessa, still in bed with Joey, her pulse racing for reasons she didn't want to admit, tried to sound calm when she asked, "What's going on?" But her hands were shaking. She knew, deep down, that whatever Jacob had to say wasn't just about Doug gambling away another fortune. It was bigger. It was darker. And that was the moment Vanessa's world shifted. Because the truth is, Joey wasn't just trying to steal Vanessa's heart.
He was orchestrating something.
Something that might have meant Doug's days were numbered. And the scariest part? Vanessa was lying in bed beside the very man who might have set the plan in motion. Because when Anita Dupree shows up, she doesn't just pass through, she sets the stage, shifts the energy, and makes everyone question their choices. And that's exactly what she did in Vegas. Now, Dani had been riding this high with Andre, convincing herself that for once she wasn't being reckless, that maybe this time, love really did feel like freedom. She told me later that she thought she was glowing that night, her lipstick smudged, her hair messy from their laughter and kisses, but she felt beautiful in a way she hadn't in years. Then Anita's shadow cut through all of that. The pink dress, the heels, the sharp words. "We don't ask why, we say bye-bye." Dani froze. She said it felt like being doused in cold water. Andre, though? He just tightened his jaw. That's the thing about Andre Richardson. He hates being caught off guard, and Anita had just flipped the script on him. "Anita," Dani muttered, her voice caught between guilt and defiance. Anita tilted her head, looked her sister up and down, then at Andre, and let out the smallest laugh. Not the kind that warms you, but the kind that cuts. Well, I guess Vegas really does bring out the sinners, doesn't it? Andre stood then, trying to shield Dani with his body. He told me he wasn't about to let Anita humiliate Dani in public, but Anita had no interest in keeping things quiet. She thrived on spectacle. "You think you can just run off here, pretend like Fairmont doesn't exist?" Anita's voice was sharp, echoing in the casino. "You don't get to disappear. You don't get to choose fun over family." That's when Dani snapped back. "And what about you, Anita? You walk around like you're better than me, like you're the savior of this family, but you love the spotlight more than anyone. So don't you dare judge me for wanting a little joy." For a moment, I think everyone within earshot stopped breathing. Two sisters, laying their wounds bare in the middle of a casino. Andre tried to step between them, but Anita wasn't here to be calmed. She leaned in, her voice lower now, but laced with poison. "You don't understand what's happening back home," Anita whispered. "You think you're safe here, but you're not. None of us are. And if you stay blind to it, Dani, you're going to lose more than your pride. You're going to lose everything." And then she walked away, heels clicking, leaving Dani shaken and Andre furious. What Dani didn't know, what Anita was hinting at, was that trouble wasn't just brewing back home. It was already here. Because at that same time, miles away, Vanessa McBride was unraveling in a different hotel room. When Jacob called her, his voice steady but urgent, Vanessa couldn't ignore the fear creeping into her chest. "Jacob, just tell me. Please." There was a pause on the line. The kind that makes your stomach twist because you know the next words will change everything. Finally, Jacob said, "It's Doug. He's in deeper than I thought. And Vanessa, I don't think this is just about gambling debts anymore. I think someone wants him gone.
Gone.
That word echoed in her head like a gunshot. She glanced over at Joey, who was lying beside her, tracing circles on the sheet like he hadn't a care in the world. She wanted to scream at him, to demand the truth. Was he behind this? Did he know? But she couldn't, because if she asked, she'd have to face the answer. So instead, she whispered into the phone, "What do you want me to do?" Jacob's voice softened. "Stay put. Don't draw attention to yourself. I'll figure out who's behind this. Just don't trust anyone. Don't trust anyone." The irony wasn't lost on her. She was literally lying beside the one man she wasn't sure she could trust, and yet she couldn't pull away. That's the thing about Joey. He had this magnetism that held her even when every instinct told her to run. That night, Vanessa stared at her wedding ring on the nightstand, the gold catching the faint glow of the city lights, and she felt like she was watching the last piece of her old life slipping away. And while Vanessa was spiraling, Doug was sinking deeper. At Joey's casino, Doug kept losing, hand after hand, sweat gathering at his temples. He spun his wedding band around his finger, like it was the only anchor he had left. He leaned toward the stranger beside him again and muttered, "You ever feel like the house always wins, no matter how hard you play?" The man gave him a pitying look, but Doug didn't wait for an answer. He just pushed more chips into the center of the table, chasing the impossible. But what Doug didn't know was that the game was already rigged. Because Joey wasn't just the charming guy who had stolen Vanessa away, he was calculating, ruthless. And he wasn't about to let Doug stand in his way. And somewhere between the flashing lights of Vegas and the shadows of Fairmont, pieces were moving on a board none of them even realized they were playing on. Anita had warned Dani. Jacob had warned Vanessa. But warnings only work if you're willing to hear them. And the truth was, none of them were ready to face what was really coming.